Hello, I am Mesos Orum, and welcome to the S.F.M.L tutorial number 4, and today we will be covering images. First, we will be adding two includes, so we will say include random and include chrono. Next, down here, we will say SFImage, image, and then image dot resize as width and height. Next, we will make a texture, say SF texture, texture with the size of image dot get size. Then we'll make a sprite, say SF sprite, sprite with texture. Now we will be making John Conway's Game of Life, and we will need to know the size of the board. So we will say unsigned int size equals width times height. And we will need two boards. One will be the regular board, and one will be for the neighbors. So we say unsigned int star board equals new unsigned int at size, as well as unsigned int star neighbors equals new unsigned int size. And we will also need to know the 8 directions around any given pixel. So we will say int direction at 8 equals 1 int width, and we'll be using this a lot, so we'll copy it, plus 1 int width minus 1 minus 1 negative int width minus 1 negative int width and negative int width plus 1. There we go. A few things down at the bottom. We'll say window, draw, sprite, and we'll also delete board and delete neighbors. Scrolling back up, we will say standard, default, random engine, rand ENG, and this will help us randomize numbers. For this, we will need a seed. We will say int seed equals standard chrono steady clock now dot time since epoch dot count. And we will assign the random engine dot seed seed. Now we need to initialize the board, so we say for unsigned int I equals 0, I is less than size plus plus I, and then scroll down a bit and say standard uniform int distribution on off between 0 and 1. Then we will assign the board at I equals on off at random engine, and we will say every neighbor at I equals 0. Thus both boards are set up, and we can scroll down into the update portion. First we will say for unsigned int I equals 0, I is less than size plus plus I. In this loop, we'll be counting neighbors, but it will be a bit backwards from what most people are used to. And we will say if board at I equals 0, continue. Now down here, we need another for loop. Say for int j equals 0, j is less than 8 plus plus j. We will need to keep track of our index, so we will say int index equals I plus direction at j. And 2 if statements to see if we're within the bounds of the board. We will say if index is less than 0, index plus equals size, as well as else if index is greater than size minus 1. Then we say index minus equals size. Lastly, we say plus plus neighbors at index. Lastly, we scroll down a bit and we say for unsigned int I equals 0, I is less than size, plus plus I. Now we will write down the rules of the game of life. We will say if off and neighbors equals 3, then become on, as well as if on and neighbors is less than 2 or neighbors is greater than 3, then it becomes off. In code we will say if board at I equals 0 and neighbors at I equals 3, then board at I equals 1. Below that we will say else if board at I equals 1 and neighbors at I is less than 2 or neighbors at I is greater than 3, board at I equals 0. Scrolling down a bit, we will say way at the bottom, neighbors at I equals 0. Now that we've done all that, the game of life should work, but we need a way to visualize it. So up here, we'll say SF color equals board at I equals 1 question mark SF color white, otherwise SF color black. We need a way to keep our x and y coordinates on the map, so we will say unsigned int x equals I mod width, as well as unsigned int y equals floor I divided by width. Next we say SF vector 2u position equals SF vector 2u x and y. Finally, image dot set pixel position and color. Right below the for loop, we need to say texture dot update and image. Finally, we can debug and see that Conway's Game of Life is working. Thank you for joining me today, and next time we will be covering opening, closing, and using multiple windows. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and have a great day.